starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day, and every clue, don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets, with the people in the slums and the homeless bums, with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather, I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack, and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute, you might hear, but they won't, cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war.
Back at it again. I hope everybody is doing well. Strange times in the U.S. Strange times going on. Very strange times, and who knows exactly what day it's going to stop. It's obviously going to stop. It is going to stop. It's not going to continue like this, and because it's becoming so obvious, slowly to people, when you get to see video of what's going on, how the domestic population is being treated, when you get anthropology, journalists going out there and asking people, what do you think about this? And you're seeing people have such disregard for other American citizens just because of their political views, pure hatred. Right. You have to ask yourself, wow, damn, I didn't know I had the right to go to, West Virginia and jack up some people because they don't look to be American, and just to me and just find out, give me your ID, motherfucker, give me your ID, give me your ID. I didn't know I had the right to do that because Americans don't have one look. Americans don't have one look. They've never had one look. The history of the country has never shown Americans to have one look. The history of the continent has never shown people to have one look. I mean, it's been a long, long time since the U.S. has had one look. In fact, one look didn't exist during, the native period of the continent, and natives look different too. Yes, but after in the colonial period, that one look shit that changed. That changed extremely. Hey, Bits, I see you. I see you. Yeah, Bits. Oh, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thanks to everybody that became a member too. By the way, Bits is a member, and I've been meaning to talk about that, but so yeah, I may as well say it right now. Those of you that want to become a member, that helps support the channel for real. It helps me. I mean, I have a full-time job, by the way. I raise my kids, by the way, but I only started doing my podcast out of love for my country, to be honest. I'm an American born and raised in Washington, D.C. that lives abroad, so I know what it's like to live in a country that has universal health care and universal education. And I'm here to tell you the media and the politicians have been lying to the American people. And I've been saying that for quite some time. It's a matter of just freedom. It's a matter of freedom. And if you don't have freedom of press, if your media doesn't tell you the truth, if your media doesn't do good enough stories that allow American people to make informed decisions, that's not freedom. If your politicians don't have real comprehensive dialogues about these topics, then that's not freedom. You only choose from what you think you can choose from. And when they don't tell you the whole truth, then you choose from not having the whole truth. But in any case, become a member if you want to support the channel. But just watching the videos and clicking like and clicking subscribe is also helping. So I appreciate everybody that does that in any case, regardless of your political affiliations, because number one, the left has a broad tent. Number two, these other, MAGA type of people, although I deeply do not agree with them at all. And it's not just MAGA people. I would deeply disagree with misinformed people, especially when they come to very harsh black and white conclusions about everything. And I think right now is a difficult time for Americans because they're being faced with very black and white realities, and it's not a good time. So I'm actually hurt. I don't know if y'all can hear my voice. I'm hurt. Yo, I'm hurt. I'm hurt for my country. I'm hurt. When I turn on the news from the country that I am in, Denmark, from the city that I am in, Copenhagen, and I turn on the news and I look at my hometown and I look at how people who do not even come from there think they can just show up in a uniform and think they know what the hell a Washingtonian looks like, think they know Washingtonian culture, think they know what the many different people who are Washingtonians from many different backgrounds who have built that state, who have built the state. The state didn't used to be shit. The state was just a river in the 1700s, in the beginning of the 1800s, half of the city didn't exist. You see what I'm saying? Yes. I grew up in a house that very much likely had slaves. You see what I'm saying? Even in DC, I know a lot more about DC history than what you might think, because just because I don't talk about it. By the way, y'all, I have a documentary. If it hasn't hit you, if you've been to my channel and you have not noticed that I have a documentary coming out called Hometown DC. If you haven't noticed, you should take a closer look, because that's a real documentary coming out. It could hit at any time. You don't know, but I love my city. That's why I've been working on the documentary since 2019. I have over 30 different interviews with people from the city, politicians, civil rights activists, young artists that I grew up with in the city. Yeah. I'm one of the cats that was previewed, that had the pleasure of being in the Legend of Cool Disco Dan documentary, which is the most popular documentary about DC subculture in the history of the city. Some of my work with my young friends is in the Smithsonian Institute, in the Corcoran Art Gallery. You see what I'm saying? So read my profile. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. And I know some of you MAGA people take every black man for granted. You think none of us ain't shit. You know what I mean? You think we don't have our own form of pride, but you out of your goddamn mind. You better wake up. But just because black people are not bigots, just because I'm not a bigot, I allow you to be here in my presence, and I give you an equal chance like everybody else. But don't take it to mean, there's nothing to this. No, there's everything to this. I've worked on civil rights outside of my country. My family worked on civil rights inside of the country. Okay, my mother and my father were part of Martin Luther King's organization, SNCC. Okay, my parents were down with Mayor Barry day one before he was even the president, before he was even became the mayor. They were working in his office doing civil rights activism in DC. So just for the MAGA people, I mean, just for the MAGA people, you guys should take note. You should take note. And for the left people, understand, I really am for democracy. I really am for the United States of America. I grew up swinging on the flagpoles of the Library of Congress with my friends from the Hill, all of us together, regardless of our backgrounds. You see what I mean? So we know what it's like to grow up in freedom. And the DC that we're seeing today with these people running around there is zero. It's zero. These damn federal agents running around our city, it is zero. I am a DC resident. It's called dual residency. While I live in Copenhagen and am a resident here, I am a dual resident. I have residency in DC too. So I am still a DC resident. I still vote. Enough about me. Enough about me. The news is horrible. And this podcast is everybody mask up. Everybody use your freedom to mask up, to let everybody know if ICE has the freedom to mask up and not identify themselves, then everybody else should have the freedom and identify, their right to not identify themselves, just like mask agents are showing they have that right. There's nobody gone out there and said, is this legal for you to be a federal agent and cover your face up and go through towns where you don't come from, where people are not used to this activity going on? Nobody's really asked about that. So, hey, fuck it. Let us all mask up. Let ICE know what it's like, and federal agents and Homeland Security and all of them, the National Guard, let them know what it's like to live around a population of people that all wear masks around them. So when something goes bad, they can't identify who it is by their look anymore. Let us all take looks out of it and make it more difficult for ICE agents to racially profile. Let's do that and see if it helps, and see how fast all of a sudden somebody gets in court and says, hey, you got to stop wearing masks, because masks do this and do that. Yeah, let's bring it on. These people wanted to come to our city. Bring it on. Let them know. All Americans, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, California, everybody should mask up since this is legal. It's legal to mask up. There's nothing illegal with masking up. Let's all mask up. But when something goes bad, it's going to be hard to be able to identify who did it. That's just what the ICE people have their mask on for too. Let's do it. Let's mask it up, y'all. Get your mask on. Matter of fact, where's my mask? I'm about to get my mask on too and see how people like it. When you go to somebody's neighborhood, walking through there, and everybody has on mask, in their own neighborhood, oh well, do what you gotta do, playboy. Do what you gotta do. Now, and I know there's a bunch of MAGA people out there that are like, you can't wear a mask. You can't wear a mask. That's wrong. We're just coming there to help you. No. DC government says they don't need your ass. Okay? They already said, please don't come. Get away. Go back to your neighborhood where you come from. Go back to the part of the U.S. where you come from. We know how to do our own policing, and we've already had a hold on crime long before you. And
the right to
let's take a
control
listen.
the local policing of our city sits with the mayor and the chief of police, notwithstanding the government, the president, and the attorney general's efforts to suggest that they had taken control of our police force and put somebody in to run our police force. I'm very gratified that the judge today recognized that that is flagrantly illegal, that it violates the clear language of the Home Rule Act, and that for all intents and purposes.
Well, here's the judge, Rhino. If you don't trust the politicians, do you trust the judge? Or maybe you, Rhino, maybe you just don't trust any liberals. Isn't that what it is? You just don't trust nobody from no liberal state, no liberals community. That's all it is, right?
Is the chief of police remains the chief of police. Pamela Smith, appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the council, remains the chief of police for the District of Columbia, in command and control of the more than 3,100 professional officers that work for MPD. So the key for today is to know that our effort to avoid a hostile takeover of our police force is not going to happen. Chief Smith remains in control of the police department under the supervision of our mayor. Very important win for home rule today.
So they wanted to remove, they want to control directly the police force in DC. Right. Okay. So you can do what? Get rid of some homeless people. So you can detain some people delivering, who work for food delivery companies. Other Americans, by the way, Venezuelans are Americans. I don't know if you know that. They may not be United States citizens, all of them, but they are Americans. Mexicans are Americans. These are the people that are most closely related to United States citizens: Canadians, Mexicans, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, people from Chile, Bolivia, yes, people, Cubans, yes, Jamaicans, yes, all the people across the Americas. These are the people most closely related in history and in culture and in language to United States citizens. And these are the people we are harassing, that they are blindly just harassing, hoping to harass. They're not only harassing them, they're harassing anybody they think that looks like them, including American citizens, including African Americans. I mean, we're watching federal agents spend their time hanging around subway stations. We're watching federal agents go after people delivering on a moped some pizza for an American business, for an establishment. That's what we're watching. We're not watching these people fight cartels. We're not watching these people fight the goddamn Russian mafia in their town. What's up, ICE? Where are the federal agents going to go out there and arrest some Russian mafia for a change? When are y'all going to get out there and arrest some Russian mafia doing sex trafficking? When are y'all going to get out there and get busy on it? Or are you fucking cowards? Yes, you are cowards. You're walking around with all these weapons trying to arrest the pizza man. You're a effing coward. You are cowards. Of course the court said hell no. The court said hell no. You do not get to control the DC police. That is under the mayor's control. The mayor is an elected official. They voted for her. If you don't like it, F you. Get out of the United States of America if you don't like the laws.
Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. I am pleased to stand with our Attorney General, Brian Schwab, and his capable team at the Office of the Attorney General, as well as members of my team. We are grateful for the hard work that was done when we received an order late into the evening, yesterday evening, that we read as plainly against the Home Rule Charter. And I am encouraged by the judge's remarks and the federal government making the changes that were suggested.
If you live in DC, right? If you live in DC, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you live in DC.
And the judge's willingness to rule if
Put a 1 in the chat if you live in DC. I just want to see who lives in DC right now. Put a 1 in the chat if you live in DC. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. Right, Rhino. So you know a lot about DC, huh? You don't even live in DC. First of all, If you want to do any comprehensive analysis about what's going on anywhere, you need to go there first with an unbiased attitude and listen. Just listen. Listen to all the different people. Just shut the hell up and listen and stop being so judgmental. And after you do that for a long time and collect enough data, then come back to me, a Washingtonian, and tell me about it. But if you're just sitting on the outside and never really lived in DC, never spent 5 years in DC, without, fulfilling your own personal interest, to have your job, whatever your government job is, if you just didn't live in the city, just to enjoy the city, just to live as a regular person, who the hell you think you're talking to? I grew up in DC. I'm not going to listen to somebody who just thinks from the outside they know everything about DC. What the hell? That would make me dumb. I'm not dumb. And that would make anybody dumb. Nobody in Denmark is going to sit there and listen to someone that's never spent 5 years living in Denmark. What the hell? Talking about this ain't right. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't you know you have idiots like that all over the world that go places and all of a sudden start telling people they don't know what the hell they're doing? Like, come on, y'all. I never said DC is perfect. I know why every Washingtonian knows the history of DC. DC was never perfect before Mayor Bowser. Do you want to know the real history of DC? Look into it. DC used to have mafia, from Italian mafia, Irish mafia, the black mafia, African American mafia. This was all in the turn of the century, 1900s. What you talking about? I mean, come on. DC has had homeless people the entire time. DC never has eradicated homelessness since the damn Emancipation Proclamation. Shit, what you talking about? So this is wild, and you need to know that if you want to start talking about DC, you need to know DC history first. Stop trying to blame so much and start acknowledging the city's true history so you can move forward and get something done that is good. Instead of thinking that you just know out of from one instance to the next, what's right for a place you never even spend any time learning anything about. Okay? That's what you need to do. Unless you want somebody coming to your town and doing the same to you. And I'm for that myself. If you're for this, then I'm for that also in your town. I'm for sending federal agents to your town because I don't know what an American looks like. So I might just grab any of you up. I might just grab any of you. I mean, you could look like some of the ICE agents, and I might grab your ass up, grab your mama up, grab your kids up, and treat you the same way because there's no guarantee that you are American, even if you sound American. If that's how you want to be treated, then go right ahead. But people in DC said, nope.
The right to control the local policing of our city sits with the mayor and the chief of police, notwithstanding the government, the president, and the attorney general's efforts to suggest that they had taken control of our police force and put somebody in to run our police force. I'm very gratified that the judge today recognized that that is flagrantly illegal, that it violates the clear language of the Home Rule Act, and that for all intents and purposes, the chief of police remains the chief of police. Pamela Smith, appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the council, remains the chief of police for the District of Columbia in command and control of the more than 3,100 professional officers that work for MPD. So the key for today is to know that our effort to avoid a hostile takeover of our police force is not going to happen. Chief Smith remains in control of the police department under the supervision of our mayor.
So people in D.C. are not outright bigots. See, we don't look at a fellow American like this man, look at his skin color, look at his anything else, and assume that he's better or worse than another Washingtonian that looks different. We don't do that. That's not what we do in DC. We're not proud of bigotry. Okay? So we don't assume things based on how someone looks. You see? That's not the way we do things in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of people that don't like that would like it to change and be very different. But the truth is that would be a complete toss out of American history. You don't know people based on look in the United States. You don't know their talents. You don't know whether they're citizens or not. You don't know whether they're criminals or not. Hence, you could also go around locking up everyone that looks like Donald J. Trump because he is a convicted felon. Should we do that? Should we lock up all the people that look like? No, that would be wrong because everyone that looks like Trump is not a 34-time convicted felon. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Everyone is not that looks like Trump. It's sad. Someone asked, who owns Pam Bondi? Who owns Pam Bondi? Someone asked that. Well, this is Ghislaine Maxwell's own words, if you want to hear them.
None of the victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that, is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important. There's an element of re-traumatization here. Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police. We own the FBI. We own the district attorney's office. And so that had a really chilling effect on people that may have been inclined to come forward. And this situation today, I think none of the victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that, is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important. There's an element of re-traumatization here. Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police. We own the FBI. We own the district attorney's office. And so that had a really chilling effect on people that may have been inclined to come forward. And this situation today, I think none of the victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that, is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important. There's an element of re-traumatization here. Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police. We own the FBI. We own the district attorney's office.
And this is what the victims, there's over 1,000 victims, according to the FBI, according to Pam Bondi, according to Kash Patel. This is what they were being told, and it's been corroborated. And it's true. It's true. They did own the DA of Florida, who is Acostas, who got a promotion to Donald J. Trump. What a coincidence. Another person who lives in Florida, Donald J. Trump. He gave him a job after he gave Jeffrey Epstein a slap on the wrist. Pam Bondi was working for the DA also. When you work for the DA, and she's saying she owned Pam Bondi, the whole DA, meaning her ass too. She got a promotion to work for Donald J. Trump. Neither one of them are trying to release the Epstein files. That means they are complicit in covering up criminals. That's what they are. They are complicit in hiding and covering up for criminals. That's what Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are doing. Who cares who told them to do it, if Trump told them to do it or not? They're doing it. They're keeping information about people that have committed crimes against young girls in the United States of America, up to 1,000 of those people. So they have no authority. They have no moral or ethical, reason to even have that job, because they're the last person that would help a victim. You see, they're actually helping this woman here. And they're not the only ones that's sitting back. They're sitting back watching the United States president be extorted by Putin. That's also who owns the DA, who owns the FBI. Putin owns the DA and owns the FBI, and that's how they're behaving. And if they're not, maybe we're wrong. I'll be the first to admit I'm wrong. Hey, prove to me he don't. Prove to me he doesn't. Show me how Trump is not doing everything that Putin seems to want. Okay, show me how Trump isn't. If Putin is an adversary of the U.S., which he is, which every other president has said so, which NATO has said so, every other NATO Western country has said so, Would he want the military to attack American citizens? Yes, he would. What a coincidence. Yes, he would. Putin would want that. Putin would want Trump to use the federal government and use the military, the Marines and the National Guard to attack American citizens in their own homes, in their own hometowns where they come from. He would want that. He would want political unrest. Yes, he would want that in the United States of America. He would not want peace in the United States of America. He would not want people getting along. He wouldn't want the government functioning. No, he would want things in chaos. He would want things the way they are right now. That's who he would want. So there's two people, and they're very closely linked, by the way, by the way, just by the fact of them being criminals and involved in the same stuff. Putin is involved himself in sex trafficking of Ukrainian young people that they captured inside of Ukraine. Yes, they've been sex trafficking those people. It's been going on a long time since for what? Since the early 2000, mid 2000s, something like that. So a lot of people don't hear things about that. But when you find these people in other parts of the world and they tell their stories, they don't get sent back to Russia. They get human rights stay in the countries that they are, and they tell their stories. So, yes, that's what a lot of victims are saying from Ukraine, that they've been sex trafficked and that Putin is totally aware of it. Now, here's the thing. Whether he's directly involved with this thing with Epstein, it doesn't matter, because they are on Russian television telling people that he has the tapes himself, that he has the pictures of Trump. That's what's going on Russian TV. You see, in Eastern Europe, that's what's playing in the Russian language. You see? So I'm sorry. You MAGA people have walked in the overthrow of the United States of America. You, under your watch, have walked in, and MAGA Mike Johnson, the right-wing Supreme Court justices, you are responsible. If the United States fall, you are responsible for the fall of the United States. And that is how you will go down in history, as a treasonous and as sellouts to the country. Now, see, that's what's so funny about it, because a lot of people toiled and worked hard in the United States of America over the years and years. Most of the heritage foundations, their ancestors don't know anything about that. They weren't even in the United States. Most of them, the majority, 80% weren't. So they don't know about toiling in the United States. Trump's family doesn't know about toiling in the United States for generations. So we can exclude him also from this conversation. But there's a lot of Americans that did. Not just African Americans, but others, many others, toiled in the United States for generations, for centuries, for the country. And they would never sell out their country. But you have some that didn't toil who would. That's what it looks like to me. The ones that didn't toil definitely would sell out the country. They just don't happen to look the way Trump wants those people to look. That's the crazy part. But there are some black sellouts now in that group. We see them. There's some African American sellouts in that group too. So every group has a couple of sellouts in it, But let's go on. There's some more disturbing stuff here. Let's take a peek. From the meeting in Alaska, we talked about that yesterday. Yeah, matter of fact, let me make this smaller. We talked about that yesterday, and something ain't right about that meeting. A lot is not right. Files got leaked. Where the meeting was happening, what rooms the meetings were happening in, what time, and the contact information of persons involved was left in a printer in the hotel, right, before the meeting. Yes. Then that's very strange. Then Putin has a private meeting with Trump in the limousine where no one else is there to know what is going on, to be able to verify what is going on. Now, The journalists that were there, they've been coming out and speaking from different news networks. And this is what they've said, some bad things. They said the room looked strange. Everyone in the room, not just the journalists, but everyone else was shocked about what they heard and what they saw, the parts that they were a part of. But here is more.
Press availabilities, as they describe them. The whole thing lasted 12 minutes. It was striking to me that he let his guest, Vladimir Putin, speak first. He went for only about 3.5 minutes. But the bottom line at the end of this, I think, Jen, is really that Vladimir Putin, who arrived here, in effect, a pariah on the world stage, gets to go home and try to say that he is now a partner with America, the largest superpower in the world. He got, in effect, everything he wanted from this moment. He leaves with a red carpet photo op here, literally walking on a red carpet with Donald Trump before he was, escorted onto that podium, flanked by American warplanes, fighter jets flying overhead. He got time in the presidential limousine. He left with no ceasefire, which he's been trying to avoid. And almost as important as anything, he left without any additional sanctions. Remember, a week ago today, Donald Trump, that was supposed to be deadline day. President Trump was supposed to be slapping on those additional sanctions on Russia if there was no end to this war. If nothing else, Vladimir Putin certainly kicked the can down on that. And notably, he said that, we basically came to agreement that there has to be some better understanding about the primary causes, the root causes of this war. In effect, again, blaming the Ukrainians for a war where Russia 3.5 years ago invaded an independent and sovereign neighbor next door. So those are some of my biggest takeaways as we get going. Just pulling back the curtain here, what struck me, Jen, in particular was really just the looks on the faces of a lot of the American delegation here. Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, Steve Witkoff, who came in.
Listen up, y'all, because now they're talking about the delegation also, the looks on their faces. So listen up. And of course, a lot of people believe that they describe MSNBC as liberal news. So automatically that means they don't even trust. Some people, the MAGA people, don't trust what's being said. But not only that, they won't even listen to it. So although it's different media outlets reporting the same thing, even Fox Media reported it first, actually. And we have that. We can go back and review that. I listen to Fox News media. I listen to any media because I'm intelligent enough to do that and to be able to, figure out what's fact, what's not fact, what's behind these statements, this kind of stuff. So I don't mind a little right-wing MAGA media, as long as they're stating facts, right? So now we have the Fox News, right, which is not considered liberal news in the United States of America, not according to MAGA people. This was their leading network for MAGA folk, and now we're listening to the left side media say the same thing.
There was really just the looks on the faces of a lot of the American delegation here. Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, Steve Witkoff, who came into the room, then left quickly, then came back in. Leavitt appeared to be a bit stressed out, anxious. Their eyes were wide, almost ashen at times. Those were some of the sort of images that will stick with me as we leave here. This was not the way the president likes to do things. He likes to be the producer of this presidency. He got that in the first half. Curtain here, what struck me, Jen, in particular, in effect, again, blaming the Ukrainians for a war where Russia 3.5 years ago invaded an independent and sovereign neighbor next door. So those are some of my biggest takeaways as we get going. Just pulling back the curtain here, what struck me, Jen, in particular was really just the looks on the faces of a lot of the American delegation here. Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, Steve Witkoff, who came into the room, then left quickly, then came back in. Leavitt appeared to be a bit stressed out, anxious. Their eyes were wide, almost ashen at times. Those were some of the sort of images that will stick with me as we.
Now, reasonable people will know that when consensus is across the left and the right, the most extreme, if you want to call MSNBC extreme, or Fox extreme right, extreme left. I'm just saying what folks say. People on the left would say Fox is extreme right. People on the right would say MSNBC is extreme left. So I'm just talking about what these folks say. An intelligent person would say when the extreme right media and extreme left media are saying the same thing, you might want to look into what they're saying for a second before you dismiss it as nonsense or lunacy or whatever you want to dismiss it as. Now, let me just go back here and see if we can find that clip. Is that clip here? No, hold on. No, that was my troll clip of Obama's swag, for people yesterday. They wanted to compare how Trump walks and how Obama walks. Let me see. Is it this one? 2 seconds. Let me just see something. Is it this one?
Your nominee for U.S. Attorney.
Okay. No, wait a second. Is it this one? Hold on. Okay, wait. It's not that one. Where is the daggone clip? What? All right, let me see. Well, I'm gonna continue. I'll get back to that one. But we had the Fox one up yesterday, and it was really telling. It was really, really telling. Matter of fact, here it is. I'm sorry about that. Here it is.
Heinrich is in the room, on the ground, where the press conference just took place.
All right, here it is. Right, and this is the right. Now, the right news media, they're the ones who released it first. So, again, if you would like to hear what the right, what Fox News had to say about this meeting, put a 1 in the chat. It doesn't matter if you're left or right or if you're Democrat or Republican. If you would like to hear what Fox News had to say about this meeting, put a 1 in the chat. I don't see too many MAGA folk wanting to see it. This is funny. But in any case, let's play it. Let's play it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Sorry for the delay, y'all. Here we go.
In the room, on the ground, where the press conference just took place at Joint Base Elmendorf. Jackie, I was surprised, no questions. I was surprised, no details on what progress was made.
I think you and me both, Brian, and everyone else in this room was also surprised. We were told that we were going to have an opportunity to put questions to both leaders after a joint press conference in the event that the meeting went well enough that they could set the stage for a second meeting. And the President Trump said if that didn't happen, he was likely to call off the joint presser and just address the media solo and then send Putin home. Neither of those things happened. And what was really stunning to me as someone who's been in a lot of these press conferences is there were a few things that were very unusual. You had Putin come out and address the press first. We are on U.S. soil here, and that left the media scrambling to get their headsets in. Usually it is the leader of the country, the host country of a summit, that speaks first and addresses the room in their language. But Putin started right off in Russian, and we all had to get our headsets on and listen to him rattle off this diatribe about the history of the U.S.-Russia relationship, making some allusions to something that we didn't get many details on, but also, without knowing the full background of it, there was something that he said that was a little bit alarming, I thought, that seems like some of the things that he has done in the past, setting up false flags and that kind of thing, saying that we hope that Ukraine doesn't do anything to sabotage the progress that we made today, knowing full well that Ukraine has agreed to a ceasefire unconditionally for the last several months, and it has been Russia that has not agreed to a ceasefire. That was President Trump's main objective today. And when we did hear from the president, he said, we didn't get there, but we think that we can. So a lot of questions remaining for the President, Trump, not just about what was discussed in that room and what might be happening now, but also how that all happened back there. It was just very unusual, atypical, and I think we're all awaiting, the readout, because the way that it felt in the room was not good. It did not seem like things went well, and it seemed like Putin came in and steamrolled, got right into what he wanted to say, and got his photo next to the president and then left. Of course, that is only the piece of the picture that we have right now, and certainly President Trump, who is the host and who is the president, would not want to, I think, enable something that would make him look weak. But we are eagerly awaiting to hear the background on that. And I will also note that we didn't see any sort of scowls on the faces of the likes of Steve Witkoff or Secretary Rubio or any of the other members of the U.S. delegation. And I think had it been concerning, we might have seen something there. But just to paint a picture for you of in the room, how it felt, what we're wondering about, what we need to know to put the pieces together and fully understand what we all just witnessed.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess you have great sources, and so does a lot of people, and we'll try to put this thing together. The other thing is, it's really not between the U.S. and Russia, as you know, Jackie. It's between the U.S.
So, obviously Fox is selling this idea that I don't know what they're trying to ride a fine line between saying that, the liberals didn't do enough for Ukraine versus the other concept, which is it's not our war, it's not us, it's not our war. But yet Trump keeps showing up to meetings about this war. I mean, in the first place, keeps inviting people to meetings about a war. If it's not your war, then what the hell are you doing in the middle of it, inviting people to have a summit on it? Get back to your business. But again, let's hear what the left said again.
Press availabilities, as they describe them. The whole thing lasted 12 minutes. It was striking to me that he let his guest, Vladimir Putin, speak first. He went for only about 3.5 minutes. But the bottom line at the end of this, I think, Jen, is really that Vladimir Putin, who arrived here, in effect, a pariah on the world stage, gets to go home and try to say that he is now a partner with America, the largest superpower in the world. He got, in effect, everything he wanted from this moment. He leaves with a red carpet photo op here, literally walking on a red carpet with Donald Trump before he was, escorted onto that podium, flanked by American warplanes, fighter jets flying overhead. He got time in the presidential limousine. He left with no ceasefire, which he's been trying to avoid. And almost as important as anything, he left without any additional sanctions. Remember, a week ago today, Donald Trump, that was supposed to be deadline day. President Trump was supposed to be slapping on those additional sanctions on Russia if there was no end to this war. If nothing else, Vladimir Putin certainly kicked the can down on that. And notably, he said that, we basically came to agreement that that there has to be some better understanding about the primary causes, the root causes of this war. In effect, again, blaming the Ukrainians for a war where Russia 3.5 years ago invaded an independent and sovereign neighbor next door. So those are some of my biggest takeaways as we get going. Just pulling back the curtain here, what struck me, Jen, in particular, was really just the looks on the faces of a lot of the American.
So now, Fox News reporting, they reported something strange about a few moments when Putin and Trump were sitting there, the way it was conducted. And this is when I'm sure a lot of you saw this. This was a meeting where news outlets, left and right and center, and also whatever international news media they might have there, were told that they would get to ask questions. Well, that meeting, they were denied that. And but then, as they described it in Fox, they described that as being unusual, a lot of unusual things going on. And then the left media is saying that, well, wait a second, Fox came out to say that, but if there was something strange, you would have seen scowls on Steve Witkoff's face and Marco Rubio's face. And I'm like, oh, really? Would you? Because I never see any I see the same look from them all the time, no matter what. But in the left or in MSNBC, they're saying this about Caroline
delegation here. Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, Steve Witkoff, who came into the room, then left quickly, then came back in. Leavitt appeared to be a bit stressed out, anxious. Their eyes were wide, almost ashen at times. Those were some of the sort of images that will stick with me as we leave here. This was not the way the president likes to do things. He likes to be the producer of this presidency. He got that in the
So all in all, MAGA folk and anybody else who's just an American, regular Americans. Yo, do you think this meeting turned out well? Put a 1 in the chat if you think this meeting turned out well. Just want to see here. Oh my goodness. Did this meeting turn out well? Put a 1 in the chat if this meeting turned out well. It doesn't have to be for any particular reason. If you think it turned out well, put a 1 in the chat. Oh my goodness. Okay, we got 3 people with a 1. 3 people thought Eve M thought it turned out well. Gradoman, I don't even know. Is that a real name? Spooky Spoon is definitely not a real name, but thought it turned out well. Winks is not a real name, but Winks thought it turned out well, but that's okay. Winks. Rosa Ellen thought the meeting turned out well. Look, but left and right media said this was a strange meeting, but you guys thought it turned out well. Okay, that's great. Graven says he's okay. That's an Anglo-Saxon name. Okay, no worries, man. Sorry about that. No offense to you. Let me see here. Benjamin says 0. All right, so okay, Eve said no. I didn't put well. I didn't put well. Was it? No, I didn't put well. It was stupid. Okay, my fault. So I said, if you thought it went well, put a 1 in the chat. Okay, so forget it. Now, if you didn't think this meeting went well, put a 2 in the chat. If you did not think... Oh, okay, Spooky Spoon. Sorry, Spooky Spoon. There you go. Sorry about that. I'll call you Spooky Spoon. No problem. But listen, if you didn't think the meeting turned out well, put a 2 in the chat. Let's make it very clear. If this meeting was not well, put a 2 in the chat. Okay, let's just make sure we we get everybody in here, all the opinions, and okay, 1,000,000 numbers too. Damn, Terry is like, I know I'm using neutral language. Did it turn out well or it didn't turn out well? If it didn't turn out well, put a 2 in the chat, and that could also mean it was horrible. 2 could also mean, what the fuck? 2 could mean, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? No problem. 2 could mean, goddamn. Hell no, this shit didn't turn out well. I mean, yeah. I just want to make it neutral enough so everybody could get in there. Well, could be considered subjective. Indeed, it is subjective. That's why I'm qualifying it now. It could also mean, goddamn, hell no. It could mean, not too good. Didn't look so great, but, anywhere on that side, the thumbs down side, not the greatest, whatever. It could mean that. Okay. So it seems like it was, I could tell you what I think, because, when you have multiple conspiracies, obviously ongoing, and conspiracies are real crimes that are prosecuted every day in the United States of America. There's all types there's trafficking, sex trafficking conspiracies that go on. There's drug trafficking conspiracies that go on. There are, espionage conspiracies that go on. Every day. This is just regular people get prosecuted. They go to jail for this stuff every single day of the week. Now, I'm a person that believes there's a real goddamn conspiracy here going on. It is not being prosecuted right now because the people that would normally prosecute it, as we noted, as has been pointed out before by some of the victims of Epstein.
None of the victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that, is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important. There's an element of re-traumatization here. Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims, and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police, we own the FBI, we own the district attorney's office. And so that had a really chilling.
Yeah, and you know, Pam Bondi used to work for that DOJ that Ghislaine Maxwell used to say we own, the FBI that we own, you know, and all these people got a promotion. Yeah, and once you in that deep, I doubt you will really come out, you know, trying to fight sex trafficking anymore, trying to, you know, even the espionage aspect of it. I mean, come on, you know what I'm saying? You think Russian spies weren't down there dealing with Jeffrey Epstein? I mean, you think they weren't going to Mar-a-Lago back then? Trump was down with the Russians back then when he was doing his real estate empire. Yes. So you have to be a goddamn fool to think that that wouldn't be a targeted place. Press like, by the way, you know, and subscribe if you're just coming around to my channel for the first time. I'm an American citizen that lives outside of the U.S., born and raised in Washington, D.C. My family on both sides goes all the way back to the beginning of the country. You know, so I love my country, and but I'm not against immigrants. And I'm for the real history of the United States, not this make-believe one where only certain kind of people get acknowledged for their deeds and for their contributions, you know. And I'm also for a broader America, for us having good ties with other Americans in South America, in Central America, in North America. I'm not with this Trump regime. I'm insulted by this Trump regime's attacking of Canada. I'm insulted by this Trump regime's attacking of Mexico and other South American Americans, Caribbean Americans. I'm insulted by it because I'm not a stupid ass that doesn't know the history of my own country and the role that many people played in the development of our country. You know, it's insulting, you know, but I would say there's a real problem here going on where somehow these elements of espionage and sex trafficking are at the root of the conspiracy. They use the little girls to blackmail aristocrats, politicians, Supreme Court justices, and others. And there was 1,000 little girls used. And until we get to the bottom of who those people are that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are hiding, we will not be a free nation again. That's what I contend. What's going on right now? Putin obviously has something similar, if not the same, on Trump from his times dealing with Russia and Putin in the past. And that we will not be free until we get to the bottom of this. Because obviously the man in the White House is controlled by foreigners because of this blackmail. People that hate Americans. Okay? And don't give a damn about any of the things I said about American history or all the people that contributed in any of this stuff. Yes, my contention is that someone else is in charge of Trump and wants Trump to attack the United States of America. Because obviously the attack, if it had come from the outside so directly, like a missile, a bomb, something like that, then the military would blast them into hell. So, you know, most people understand that. But from the inside, through controlling your king, through blackmailing your king, because your king got a long history of throwing his dick on the table, you know, and obviously people are saying, even little girls are saying, yeah, and by the way, Trump threw that thing on the table with me, too. I mean, that's what little girls back then, who grown up to be women now, who came out finally, have said about our president. That's what they said.
And that's when I got approached by Tiffany.
In the bus station?
Yes, she was actually picking that, and she had a whole bunch of different wigs, and I expressed interest in them. You know, I always told her that I would love to walk around with blue hair, and so I tried some on, and there was a blonde wig that is a billionaire friend of Donald Trump's that came to this interview on my own free will.
Okay.
Sorry about that, y'all. Exactly. You got logged out. Here we go. We back on it. This is one of the alleged victims of Donald Trump that she alleges that she was victimized in her teens. I believe she's saying 12, 13 years old, something like that. Let's take a listen.
Was anything promised to you if you do this interview?
There was nothing promised to me for doing this interview, no.
Hang on. Guys, we need quiet. One more time, please.
No, there was nothing promised to me for doing this interview.
Excellent.
Hey, Tim Hirsch, I hear you, bro. I hear you, no question. Native Americans, yes.
Everything that you will tell us during this interview, is it the truth?
Yes, everything that I say at this interview will be the truth.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's start with, how did you meet Donald Trump?
I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump.
And how old were you when you met him?
I was 13.
13.
Mm-hmm.
And how did the initial meeting, how did that work?
Whew. The first time that I met Donald Trump was...
Guys, seriously.
Okay, you can hear that?
We need absolute quiet.
Okay, sorry.
And the first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance. And he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job, and he basically asked. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance, and he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first, I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first party, and I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it.
Now, is the mic on? Yeah. Now, there have been 1,000 victims, according to the FBI, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, that have given depositions or been interviewed, this kind of thing, where they find are viable, right? And so this is not the only person that gave a deposition here. Some of the people, all of the victims, right, all of them that gave depositions have described having to give them under death threats and their families having death threats. Okay. And again, all of them have been told what this reporter has reported already, which you have heard, that Ghislaine Maxwell had told the victims that they own the FBI, they own the DA, they own the police.
None of the victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that, is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important. There's an element of re-traumatization here. Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims, and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police. We own the FBI. We own the district attorney's office. And so that had a really chilling effect on people that may have been inclined to come forward.
Right. And these people that worked for the DA at that time, they got promotions from Trump. They've all been promoted to be Trump cabinet members or have administrative titles. Pam Bondi, she worked for the DA at that time where Epstein was being prosecuted. Acosta, he headed the case. He was the lead DA in Florida. He got a job from Trump. Trump lived in Florida at that time. He was involved with the Russian mafia, or had Russian mafia involved with his business at that time. Three of Trump's executive officers for 3 different casinos in the 90s died in a mysterious helicopter crash that Trump himself was supposed to be on, that he directed them to show up and to come and for another meeting that they were all going to have together, where Trump calls at the last minute and says that he won't make it. They should meet him there. And this aircraft, this helicopter crashes, and they're dealing. These were the casino executives for his 3 casinos in New Jersey. And obviously, Russian mafia and other mafias are deeply connected with casinos because you can wash money. That's the whole idea. Well, it's also alleged that that Russian mafia was involved in Trump's business dealings with his real estate company. Washing money is the allegation. That they had a whole floor underneath the floor that Trump had in his own Trump Tower, that they basically lived under Trump in his own tower. That Trump Tower itself could be funded. And Epstein himself, as many people are hearing now, questioned Trump about his real estate dealings because he knew Trump didn't have that much money himself, being his best friend for 15 years. Right. He broke up, as alleged by Trump, that they broke up because of a real estate matter. Well, if you ask Jeffrey Epstein, as reported by the Daily Beast by Michael Wolff, he says that Epstein believed, and he has it on audio tape, that Trump didn't have the money and was involved with, the mob to get that money to buy that property. He was like, you don't have the money to buy this property. How the hell could you outbid me? And bingo. So you can think what you want. Now, you could think that protecting little girls from sex trafficking is not an important job. But I am here to tell you that if you didn't protect those girls back then, and these girls believed and were told by Ghislaine Maxwell, which has been corroborated by other victims, that there is nothing you can do because we own the DA, we own the FBI, right? Well, if these people got a promotion, well, then they own you too. There's nothing you can do as an American citizen because the same people have been given a promotion. You are these little girls. See, you didn't step in and defend these little girls, and now you will be victimized by the same. You will be victimized by the same. Only this time, they don't need your body to get what they want. They already got what they want this time. You see? They use those little girls' bodies to get power and control. And they have the control. And now they're going to victimize you in every other way. See, they don't need your little booty anymore. Now they have your whole country. That's my contention. You see, you could call it a conspiracy theory if you like. I don't give a damn. Yeah, it's a conspiracy theory. I can't prove it. But I tell you one thing for sure. I don't trust Pam Bondi with my life. I don't trust Kash Patel with my life. I don't trust Donald J. Trump with my life. I'd rather trust a gun in my hand with my life than any one of them. You will never, ever get me to trust them. As far as I'm concerned, they are sellouts to the United States of America. They are sellouts to our ancestors. That's my view of it personally. And, if I was y'all, I'd start wearing masks. Wearing a mask is not illegal. I would start wearing a mask because I do not think these people have good intentions for civilians or for citizens of the United States of America. And I do believe Putin would love Trump to release the military on the American people and to stay out of other affairs across the globe so that Russia can emerge as the superpower it used to be. I believe That's more likely what's going on right now because of Donald J. Trump and because of the Supreme Court and because of sellouts like Kash Patel and Pam Bondi that didn't prosecute the victims, that didn't prosecute the perpetrators of those 1,000 victims back then. I believe that's what we're looking at right now. Yeah. And you don't have to believe me. I mean, I'm not asking you to believe me.
Or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office. It's sitting on my desk right now to review. A truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
None of the victims today have been informed about the facts that Maxwell was moved. And that, is another just kind of slap in the face. It's also, I think, really important. There's an element of re-traumatization here. Because one of the things that Maxwell in particular did so effectively is she would taunt these victims and she would say, or people that would be in a position to know things, and she would say, you can't do anything because we own the police. We own the FBI. We own the district attorney's office. And so that had a really chilling effect on.
Yeah, and, this is just what it is. It's just what it is. A lot of people are saying, what's behind the Epstein files? My contention is the freedom of your country is what's behind the Epstein files. And as long as they are kept a secret, American citizens will not be having any freedom anytime soon.
So here's what I don't get. He's been sitting on the Epstein files this whole time, and every time someone brings it up, suddenly there's some brand new emergency. Putin gets to keep part of Ukraine.
This isn't CNN right here. Who just wrote that comment? Lay Ann Smith. This isn't CNN right here. This is Joe Rogan. I don't know if you consider him left or right or what, but yeah.
Job numbers are fake. Let's investigate Letitia James. Investigate Jack Smith. It's like, dude, just release the files. If your name's not in there, you'd think you'd want everyone to see them, right? But instead, it's constant shiny distractions, while the one thing that matters just stays locked up. Look, man, if you still think he's playing 4D chess, I hate to break it to you, the guy's...
Joe Rogan definitely don't know more than me, Angelic Army, because first of all, Joe Rogan capped for a person whose best friend is the most prolific pedophile and sex trafficker of the United States to be the president, not me. I didn't do that. Joe Rogan didn't know shit last year. He's just waking up like some of you MAGA. At least some of you MAGA are waking up. At least some of you are waking up. And to those that are waking up, I applaud you. To those of you that stay in this game of bullshit, people have to look down on you because you are really just like the worst right now. I mean, you're the worst. Here is your champion, Joe Rogan, telling you where your problem was, where your fault was. Take a listen to it. And no, he doesn't know more than me because I'm not the one electing people that fucking protect pedophiles.
Here's what I don't get.
He voted for someone that protects pedophiles. It's him who voted for that. He is the one who believed in Kash Patel, not me. He is the one that believed in Pam Bondi, not me. He doesn't know more than me. Shit, and you definitely don't know more than me.
The Epstein
You know.
files this whole time, and every time someone brings it up, suddenly there's some brand new emergency. Putin gets to keep part of Ukraine. Job numbers are fake. Let's investigate Letitia James. Investigate Jack Smith. It's like, dude, just release the files. If your name's not in there, you'd think you'd want everyone to see them, right? But instead, it's constant shiny distractions, while the one thing that matters just stays locked up. If look, man, if you still think he's playing 4D chess, I hate to break it to you, the guy's barely playing checkers. And he's eating the pieces. I mean, come on, how much horse shit before you realize your alpha male is just an 80-year-old dude with early dementia spray tanning his face at 3 a.m. while rage tweeting about Rosie?
How many people voted for Trump? How many people voted for Trump? Put a 1 in the chat if you voted for Trump. Put a 1 in the chat. I just want to see how many Trump supporters are out there. And again, you have every right to support Trump if you want. I'm just stating my opinion. I don't like you. I think you're hella dumb. I think you're pretty ignorant and probably very isolated and probably grew up in some very poor, really isolated circumstances and have real problems too. Not just, I'm not saying the poverty should be a problem, but I mean, you know, poor people often victimize each other also. So a large percent of white Americans have this double and triple victimization on top of each other that keep them isolated. So put a 1 in the chat if you voted for Trump. Mostly red states obviously voted for Trump, and those are the poorest states in the country. So that's why I'm saying it that way. So you know, but I know all people that live in red states are not poor. But put a 1 in the chat if you voted for Trump. Just like all people that live in blue states are not poor, by the way. Put a 1 in the chat if you voted for Trump. Put a 1 in the chat if you voted for Trump. I see Trump supporters don't like to answer basic questions. It's okay if you voted for Trump. You had that right. Put a 1 in the chat if you did. That's all. What the heck? I didn't vote for his ass. I'm proud to say I didn't vote for him. Well, wow. I mean, come on. That doesn't mean you have to vote for him next time. I'm just saying keep it real with another American. You know, my family comes on both sides of my family comes from the beginning of the country. If you don't respect that, yo, I'm sorry. I also don't respect you. But if you respect that and at least say, okay, this dude is American, I respect that. I appreciate that. But if you don't, then fuck you. You know, but put a 1 in the chat. Right now, I'm only asking you to put a 1 in the chat. You know, since both sides of my family come from the country, the beginning of the country, I mean, I'm doing what I feel I must do. OK, I'm not relying on what someone else thinks they have to do. Put a 1 in the chat if you voted for Trump. Put a 1 in the chat if you voted for Trump. And I mean really voted for Trump. OK, I'm not saying anybody if you're not an American citizen, don't worry. The question's not for you. I got some other questions and you're fine, though. You're fine, even if you're not an American citizen. But I want to know. It doesn't seem to be a lot of people putting 1 in the chat, though, ironically. So I'm assuming that a lot of you listening today are not Trump supporters. And that's fine. That makes sense, too, because you know, I'm not a Trump supporter and I'm doing the cast. So there you have it. So let's listen to what Joe Rogan, he's a person who supported Trump before in the 2024 election. And he talked a lot about why he supported Trump. But he obviously turned out to be very wrong about a lot of the things that he thought. And he's about to state what those things are. Let's take a listen.
So here's what I don't get. He's been sitting on the Epstein files this whole time, and every time someone brings it up, suddenly there's some brand new emergency. Putin gets to keep part of Ukraine. Job numbers are fake. Let's investigate Letitia James. Investigate Jack Smith. It's like, dude, just release the files. If your name's not in there, you'd think you'd want everyone to see them, right? But instead, it's constant shiny distractions, while the one thing that matters just stays locked up.
So he's saying that Trump is using all those things that he mentioned, investigate Letitia James. He's saying, Joe Rogan is now saying he sees that as a distraction. What else does he see Trump doing as a distraction to just releasing the Epstein files? Let's listen.
Look, man, if you still think he's playing 4D chess, I hate to break it to you, the guy's barely playing checkers. And he's eating the pieces. I mean, come on, how much horse shit before you realize your alpha male is just an 80-year-old dude with early dementia spray tanning his face at 3 a.m. while rage tweeting about Rosie? So here's what I don't get.
He's talking to you people that voted for Trump, that not the people that voted for Trump, because he did, but the people that are still supporting Trump. If you still support Trump, let's hear Joe Rogan talk about what he
sitting
thinks.
On the Epstein files this whole time, and every time someone brings it up, suddenly there's some brand new emergency. Putin gets to keep part of Ukraine. Job numbers are fake.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I saw an important message here. Tim Aney. If I said that right, I hope I did. He says, Kona, if you think Trump is doing what you voted for, you voted for your own enslavement. Tim, yo, brother, I appreciate you. Timmy, I appreciate you very much. That is a very clear statement, and I agree 100% with that statement. This is about freedom of American citizens and Americans, period. Americans. Trump is definitely out in many multiple types of ways to enslave American citizens. Your freedom is at risk in multiple ways, not just through the law, but through economics. They want to own the United States of America and take what we did know, the right to have our fights be in Congress, to remove those fights from Congress, to remove the Constitution, 14th Amendment, 15th Amendment. That's an attack on women. That's an attack on all Americans. You have to understand it that way. And then the economics of it, who in the hell would invite someone like Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, into the Treasury Department? Who the hell would do that? You don't see that as an attack against your freedom? If you don't see that as an attack against your freedom, you don't know how this world works. But again, let's listen to Joe Rogan, a person who supported Trump. He used his platform to help get Trump elected. Let's listen to his views now. And he's talking about people that still support Trump even after this. This is what Joe Rogan thinks about people that still support Trump even after this.
Let's investigate Letitia James. Investigate Jack Smith. It's like, dude, just release the files. If your name's not in there, you'd think you'd want everyone to see them, right? But instead, it's constant shiny distractions, while the one thing that matters just stays locked up. Look, man, if you still think he's playing 4D chess, I hate to break it to you, the guy's barely playing checkers. And he's eating the pieces. I mean, come on, how much horse shit before you realize your alpha male is just an 80-year-old dude with early dementia spray tanning his face at 3 a.m. while rage tweeting about Rosie? So here's what I don't get. He's been sitting on the Epstein files this whole time, and every time someone brings it up, suddenly there's some brand new emergency. Putin gets to keep part.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's interviewing Cash right here. That's a good question, though. Who asked that question? Redacted. Yo, I'm not sure if that's him, but please let me know if you figured that one out.
Ukraine. Yep. Job numbers are fake. Let's investigate Letitia James. Investigate Jack Smith. It's like, dude, just release the files. If your name's not in there, you'd think you'd want everyone to see them, right? But instead, it's constant shiny distractions, while the one thing that matters just stays locked up.
And here's the real crazy, the sickening part of it. This is why I said all American citizens are now those little thousands of girls that were victimized, because they're gaslighting the American citizen now by saying we're not going to release them to protect the victims. And if you believe that, man, you may as well be sex trafficked yourself, because that's what happens when people are being sex trafficked. It's always people using their emotions against them. We will help you. We take care of you. We do this. No way. And they're abusing them at the same time. They're the ones that's actually pimping them out and using them, right? And they use that kind of gaslighting language. And now they're going to tell the American people that no. The real reason we're not going to release the Epstein files is because we want to protect the victims. What the hell have you done to protect any victim? You haven't done anything to protect the victim. That means they're not releasing the Epstein files because they want to victimize you. That's what that means.
If look, man, if you still think he's playing 4D chess, I hate to break it to you, the guy's barely playing checkers. And he's eating the pieces. I mean, come on, how much horse shit before you realize your alpha male is just an 80-year-old dude with early dementia spray tanning his face at 3 a.m. while rage tweeting about Rosie? So
yeah, I mean, I don't agree. I don't listen to Joe Rogan. I'm not into these right-wing podcasts. I thought Joe Rogan was a nut from day one. I think he's out there in the manosphere. I don't think he thinks too highly of women's rights. I don't think he's the most intelligent or knowledgeable person about American history or about the Constitution or any of these things. I don't think so. I just think he's a guy who got lucky on the X Factor and now has become a factor in podcasting, and a lot of people that are into UFC and this manosphere where women don't need a right to vote, women ain't nothing, other people ain't nothing, this kind of thing, where they just think in things in such stark terms, black and white terms, that they don't even understand what a constitution is if they think in those stark terms. What would the point of a constitution be if you think in stark terms like that? Obviously, those two things, you can't be so black and white about everything and understand the point of a constitution. You can't have a government, you can't have a country where you don't understand the nuances of the society, of the public that you serve. You see, so I never supported Joe Rogan in that. I didn't hate him, but I definitely stopped listening to anything and watching anything he was about because I could see he didn't get the threat. He didn't see that he was letting Trump off the hook, right? And so I never did that. But now to see him reverse that, first of all, I'm going to tell you something. It takes some courage and it takes some morals and ethics. You got to have, I'll give Joe Rogan this credit. He has some morals and some ethics in comparison to many of the people that followed him and to many Trump supporters, because he was able to get to a point where he could admit he was wrong. And he's talking about himself, too. He's not just talking about other MAGA folk. He's also talking about himself here. He went through this point himself. He was like, damn, at what point is this just horse shit? This is horse shit. Just release the files, man. Now, let me ask you something. You people that support Trump, should Trump release the Epstein files? Put 1 in the chat if you believe Trump should release the Epstein files. Put 1 in the chat if you believe Trump should release the Epstein files. Unredacted. Only victims, only little girls' names at the most redacted. Put 1 in the chat if you believe Trump should release the Epstein files. Okay, by what date should they be released? Oh no, hold on. Also, put a 1 in the chat. Also, if you believe Trump should release the Epstein files unredacted with only victims' names covered up. Only victims, only little girls that were sex trafficked. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that's what should be done. Yeah, I see Jay is already ahead of me. I was about to ask my next question, Jay. Okay, I just want to put a 1 in the chat if you believe the file should be unredacted. And if there is any redaction, it should only be girls that were sex trafficked, their names, no one else. Parker Bolt, I'm not asking about Biden. I'm asking, do you want the files released or not? Come on now. God daggone. What about Biden? How come he didn't? Well, get the hell. Let's deal with this issue first. Okay? Damn. You want that MAGA? I got you. There you go. Everybody can answer this question, by the way. It doesn't matter who you are. If you want the files released, unredacted, and the only thing, if redacted, should be the victims' names, the girls that were sex trafficked, put a 1 in the chat. And, all right, so Now, for the people that put a 1 in the chat, what date should these files be released? What date you waiting on? Let me see. Today is, what the hell? Today is Monday, August 18th over here in Copenhagen, Denmark. What date? Somebody already said today. Yeah, that's JW. Exactly. I want them released today. If they ain't released today, then that means there is a real conspiracy going on. Okay, for me. You know, do you want them released today, or do you want them released in maybe a year from now after the next election? How about that? Put a 2 in the chat if you want the files released 2 years from now after the midterm elections, or 2 years after two. You know, when do you want the damn things released? I mean, you know, it's not enough to want them released. Put a line in the sand. Put a line in the sand, and also put a line in your sand like Joe Rogan did, just by saying, look, if they don't do this shit by this time, it means everything they said was bullshit. How about that? That's where I'm at with it. You don't release them Epstein files, that means everything you said in your own defense was bullshit. That's where I'm at it with. You don't release those Epstein files, that means what Ghislaine Maxwell said was true. They own the FBI, they own the police, they own the DA, and now that they have been promoted to being Trump cabinet members, they own the United States too. And if Putin has those files, or any other foreign government has those files, they also own the United States government and will be directing Trump in every way, domestic and international policy. How about put that line in the sand? That's the line I'm putting in the sand. It shouldn't be too hard to figure out, to know what the hell is going on. And I don't believe in paying taxes to not know what the hell is going on in my own damn country. You know, I just don't, I don't see the point in it. Let's chime out. Number one, I'm about to go out, but I want to chime out on a couple of other things. I've watched some horrific, I've watched the police encounter some people in Washington, D.C., and it's been really difficult for me to watch it because I'm a Washingtonian myself, and I'm not used to being encountered by anybody like that at all. I've never in my life ever been treated or encountered by any police in Washington, D.C. in that way. No one with a mask. I am not. In my mind, criminals wear masks. In my mind, I'm a free citizen. You just don't do any goddamn thing you want because you have a badge. Okay? In my mind, I'm not going for it. And I urge every other American citizen to not go for it. Do not go for it. Okay? This is a criminal regime. Now, I also encourage all Americans to start wearing a mask. If you live in one of those cities, because they have clearly politicized this, and thank you, I'm glad I got to this, and it is illegal to politicize the, sending Marines, military to different states. If you want to fight crime, you got to fight crime everywhere. You can't only use these harsh tactics against states that you have political disagreement with. That's discrimination. That's illegal under the Constitution. You see, and in my mind, that is what Trump is doing. That is exactly what they're doing. They're fostering, they're being discriminatory. You know, political discrimination is illegal in the United States. You cannot just target political cities that didn't vote for you and sick the military on them. You can't do that. That's illegal according to the Constitution. So now that we see that this is what's being done, I advise people like myself a year ago. Was it a year ago? Maybe 6 months ago. I actually tagged Mayor Bowser myself in a Facebook post, and I wanted her to abolish the gun legislation, some of the gun legislation law in D.C. that prohibits people from having it. First of all, according to D.C. law, you can't have a militia. According to D.C. law, they put that in effect some time ago. I asked her to abolish it. According to my knowledge of D.C. law, I asked her to abolish that like 6-7 months ago. Also, to abolish some of the limitations on weapons, because in my view, I'm like, you didn't protect DC citizens from January 6th. You failed. DC police and everybody else failed to protect the Capitol. And you failed to protect the capital city as well back then. And in my mind, enough wasn't done to protect the citizens of that city, because groups were already doing things like stacking up weapons outside of DC and talking about invading DC with weapons. Are you out of your goddamn mind? You out of your goddamn mind? In my view, I asked Mayor Browser to abolish that shit. You know, DC residents should have their own militia. That's what I believe. And it sounds extreme. Maybe it is extreme, but these are extreme times. This is not me thinking of those things when Biden was in office, when Reagan was in office, when Trump was in office the first time. No, this is based on what he's doing now for the first time in in U.S. history, pretty much. This is unprecedented. So my view and my request was based on that. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I advise all Americans to hold to your constitutional rights and arm yourselves. Arm your family members, arm your homes. You do have a legal right to be armed in DC to some degree. Arm your home. The other thing is start wearing masks. That's my view as a protest symbol against the way that the federal government under Trump is being, sent on American citizens into their towns. We need to make them understand what it is like to not be able to identify anyone that is around you, to not be able to know who knocked you upside of the head with a rock, to not be able to know who defended themselves against you, to who defended a neighbor against you. To not be able to know, to only be able to say, well, Your Honor, after I got shot in my ass, I looked over to the right and there was a person with a mask in the corner. I can't identify anything else about them. Yeah, they had on a mask. They had on some blue jeans. They had on a black jacket. Yeah, they looked kind of like ICE, except they didn't have a ICE police vest on. Yeah. You want to commit hostility? You want to be hostile towards American citizens? You want to invoke fear in the local population? Well, join the club. Let's all join the club. That's my view of it. That's my personal view of it. Yeah. Now, I do not take the blame for what someone else does. Everybody does what they feel they do on themselves. And I'm not judging people that don't do that, but I'm just saying I don't appreciate it myself. I'm not following that bullshit. If there's anything I can do to dispel or get these people out of my goddamn hometown city, I will do it. I have zero respect for them. I have zero respect for them. Zero. You see, zero. It's my freedom of speech that I'm speaking according to the Constitution of the United States of America. I have zero respect for you. I do not believe the president's intent is to protect and to fight crime. I believe his intent is to harm American citizens because of their political view, because of their and other factors as well. I do not believe he is fit to be president. I never did. And I believe he is committing crimes against the United States of America right now. So, yeah. So in any case, call it whatever you want to call it. I call it what I call it. I call it standing up for the United States of America. I call it exercising my constitutional right. OK, and, until it's been adjudicated in a court, you can't call it illegal. OK, just like ICE does things. Just like the feds are doing things, like they do whatever they want until it's adjudicated in the court and been called illegal. They ship American citizens off in a plane to El Salvador until the court comes in and says it's illegal. OK, it wasn't illegal in the first place, but they did it anyway. They want to interpret the law according to some wide view. OK, let us all interpret the law according to the widest view. OK, the macro view. Let's extend anything we want to do. Let's all just go macro on it now. OK? You just like you all did with your gun rights. The gun rights, I have the right to have a bazooka according to my Second Amendment rights. What the hell? You know, isn't that what a lot of these people say every day? Okay, yeah, let us all have bazookas now, goddammit. Let us all have bazookas now and see how that turns out. Let us all have banana clips and see how that turns out. Let us all wear masks and see how that turns out. Let us all interpret the Constitution according to what we think it is, since we can read English, and see how that turns out. Right? Let's see how that turns out. And let us all not admit when we make mistakes at all. Never, 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 never. Let's see how that turns out. And if it turns out, however, then so be it. You see? Then so be it. That's just how it is. That's part of what being American is, right? Right? That's part of what being American is. You make mistakes and you learn along the way. Oh, well, too bad. Somebody gets hurt. Oh, well, too bad. Too bad. If an American citizen just gets sent out on a plane, too bad. Oops. Fuck it. We won't admit it. It was a mistake. No. If I arrest an American citizen, oh, too bad. Ooh, too bad. You know, if ICE goes and grabs a Marine, a veteran, oops, too bad. Oops, too bad. If I'm an ICE person and I'm out on the street and I say, hey, a person tells me what I'm doing is a crime, and then they look at me and say, the liberals did this to themselves. Oh, well, too bad. Too bad if somebody said, hey, you ICE people did this to yourself. Too bad if they end up in that situation. Too bad if a federal agent ends up in that situation, because that's just how people do things in the United States of America. That's the American way. Too bad. Right? Too bad if you can't identify who hit you over the head with a rock, because all the citizens are wearing masks now in protest. Oops, it wasn't me. I'm not saying hit somebody over the head with a rock. I'm saying wear your mask. And if it just happens that they can't identify who shot them in the ass, oops, too bad. They're wearing masks. Who are wearing masks illegal? Is wearing a mask illegal for U.S. citizens now? Is that what's illegal? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. You want to wear a mask? Hey, fuck it. Let us all wear a mask now. That's the environment that you're creating. Yeah. And on that note, I will enjoy my universal health care here in Denmark, in Copenhagen. I will enjoy my universal education, my kids having the right to go to technical school, to go to university, if they so shall choose to, and they do. I will reserve my right here in Copenhagen, Denmark, as an American citizen, that my kids get paid to educate themselves. If they have the desire to be educated, I will enjoy that right. I will sit back and watch and make my freedom of speech commentary from here. And when I come to the United States of America, which will be very soon, don't expect me to check in at a fucking border. Okay, I know the continent very, very well. Very, very well. Yes, I know the continent very, very well. The North and the South and its waterways. Okay, its airports, its ships. Yeah, I do. Okay, so I would suggest other people get to know the country that they live in, you know. But I myself am not going to spend 1 second being detained by someone whose family likely does not go back to the beginning of the country. Likely has nothing to do with the founding fathers. Okay. Sorry, it won't be me. I won't be, being detained by some Johnny come lately who thinks that because he wrapped himself in an American flag, he knows what the fuck America is about more than me. I'm not going for that. Okay. So if you want to be a slave, enjoy your slavery. Okay. I suggest you enjoy it very well. And apparently a lot of you MAGA people seem to like being slaves, so you have every right to be a slave if that's what you want, but you ain't going to make the rest of us slaves. That time is over. That will never happen again. That's finished. And if people have to die fighting to make sure you understand that those days are over, then so be it. You have every right to do that. Go ahead and be a slave if you want to. Maggot.
They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can
Wear
I
your
make
mask.
up my mind? Is
Start
it
wearing
worth
your
the
mask,
dime?
people.
Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct. And I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink. But I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversion every time to make the big score. The more, and then you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the more, and then you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an app, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the more, and then you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the more, and then you know they want more.